So, in probably just under 2 months, the FIFAe World Cup will be taking place. But of course, a lot of the rosters are starting to build, the qualifiers are starting to happen, but not all rosters are confirmed. Not even all countries are hosting qualifiers. So some of these will just be invited as, the team that will represent the country, right? So today I wanted to speculate on some of the teams that haven't been confirmed yet and some of the teams that haven't qualified yet, and also let you know which ones have already. So let's have some fun with that. We'll start out with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, obviously, they have absolutely like amazing players, right? Absolute top quality S tier players. They aren't hosting a qualifier at all, so they will be just straight invited to the FIFA World Cup, right? But I'm not sure whether the players have any power in this either, whether they just get nominated or whether, they get contacted and they come back to, someone who's responsible and say, actually, we wanna play with this player instead of that player that you're telling us to play with. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say just as an easy predicted team that it's just gonna be Team Falcons that just get invited. There's no like little switch up where Napo goes in because he honestly might, and he is on my honorable mentions. But yeah, my predicted team will just be TRK, Cavaliers, and Irwas. Same roster as you would recognize as Team Falcons. But yeah, my honorable mentions for them would probably be Napo, Mossen, and SMW. There's probably more I could list, but those are just the three that come to my head the quickest. And Saudi Arabia, as we all know, they've got some absolute top tier results. They've made plenty of top twos now. I think two. I think it's technically only two. They made the major final at London, made the final EWC, and lost in Game 7 to BDS. Correct me if I'm wrong at the World Championship. So they've got some very good results. Couldn't quite win any of those, but they very might win if they do play this together. They very might well win the FIFA World Cup. All right, next up I've got England. England, another invited team. And we're hearing rumors that Rise, Archie, and Joyo will be teaming together, assumedly under Moist, as it seems. I also might be wrong about that. I don't know all the rumors, but yeah, because of that, I do predict them to play together. Otherwise, I probably would have, especially Oski in there. Oski, to be fair, it's not certain whether he's eligible for England or not, but I'm pretty sure he has like English citizenship, and he's lived there like pretty much his entire life. I think he was just born in Poland and then moved quite early on in his life, to my knowledge. But yeah, I expect Archie, Rise, and Joyo to play together. If they are going to team, I expect them to want to play together. And I hope that whoever chooses the teams allows them to do so as well. If they do have the power to put in Oski instead of someone, then fair play. I wouldn't mind that either. I wouldn't mind that either. But I guess what I'm trying to actually say is that if the team itself has the choice, that they'll probably pick to play with each other because it would only make sense for the players. But yeah, other honorable mentions other than Oski would of course be apparently Jack, and I've also got Nolly in there considering he did make all of the majors and the World Championship. Didn't do too well in those events with his team, but I don't think there's too many like superstar English players, so I think it's fair to put Nolly in there as well as a potential contender for the England spot or one of the three England spots. Anyways, next up will be Belgium. Belgium have already done their qualifier. I have actually made a video about some of the qualifiers, but in particular, I talk a lot about the Belgian qualifier in my most recent video. So be sure to check that one out. But anyways, the team that qualified were Atau, Astral, and Compact. It's actually kind of surprised me because I thought RizFox would play instead of Compact, mainly because it's French. Because I know the skill wise are very very close, and Compact has more history, has more results in general. RizFox is more of a recent thing. been on the come up recently, but it also means he has a lot of hype behind him. So I also thought those two things combined, him having that recent hype around him, and him, speaking French. And Kopak might speak French as well, but he's from that Dutch side. His French might not be as good, and they might not be as close together as opposed to RizFox with Astral on Natal. Though maybe actually it could be the opposite, where because they've encountered each other a lot, they've actually like they like dislike each other or something like that. That's also possible. But RizFox was not chosen to be on the team. I say chosen. He wasn't. He's not teaming with Astral and Natal in the qualifier, so they didn't qualify together. So yeah, RizFox will be one of my honorable mentions, as well as J Waits. And I guess Badness I put in there as well. There aren't a lot of Belgian players, but Badness is not a terrible one, so I'll put him in there as well. And then moving on, we've got Brazil. Brazil already had their qualifier, a qualifier that seemingly ran fairly well. Obviously had, their fair share of issues, but they had a bunch of teams signed up, so that's at least something more than the Belgian one. But the team that qualified, as you'd expect, was Furia, which probably are the three best players from Brazil, if not three of the four. Um, yeah, that's Jan, Lost, and Drufinho. Honorable mentions, I gave that to the team that finished second in the qualifier, which was Ninjas in Pajamas, Knight, Swift, and Wisty, which might, that qualifier might prove that maybe they were just a little bit better than Team Secret, who were at the World Championship. We'll never know, but yeah, I do want to give the honorable mention to the team that actually finished second, since, all the top tier teams pretty much played in that qualifier. Yeah, Brazil, by the way, also a team that could win the entire event. England as well, but I do think Brazil has that little bit extra. Belgium has that, that upset ability. They could honestly be a lot better than some people expect. And I wouldn't be surprised if they come in and they get a massive result. They get like a top four. Imagine that. That would be amazing. But maybe a top eight is more on the cards than that. Thought I should speak maybe on the teams a little bit more than I have so far. Up next is Spain. Spain, they haven't finished their qualifier, but we do know their teams. And I actually predicted their team perfectly beforehand, way ago when FIFA E was first announced, which was Atomic, CRR, and Stizzy. So I got that one right. So that's cool. Honorable mentions will be Dorito, Techos, and Lewis P, which I think are also teaming. Yeah, they are. They are also teaming. I'm not sure they finished second in a event because they had like a giant elimination stage that they played. No, it seems like they were invited to the playoffs. Okay, which is still going on. So yeah, we don't really know. There's obviously another team that's pretty notable as well, which has Mark by 8, Steak, and Rixie or Rye, whatever, however you pronounce that one. But I think those players are generally not as good as Dorito, Luis P, and Teco, so I put them there instead. Spain, obviously, a team that could do really, really well, but they could also do pretty bad. I feel like Spain has historically been a very volatile country within Rocket League. I feel so. You never know. They might do pretty well, but I'm almost more concerned for the Spain roster than I am for the Belgian roster, even though everyone would probably agree that they're a fairly more talented, roster, or not just fairly, probably a lot more talented, at least for the time being with the results that they've had. But honestly, that it could not be that great for Spain, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up, I have South Africa. This one's simple. I'll keep this one short. I'll just have Limitless in here. To Die For, Snowy, and Sweaty. Honorable mentions being the team that we saw at EWC, Cams, Guns, and Snoozy, but they are quite far apart as a team than from Limitless. So they're just the obvious pick. They won't do that much, but they could get an upset here and there. Because now they're not just playing regions, they're playing countries, which considering SSA has always been pretty much just South Africa and a little bit of a reunion, but it's been mostly South Africa, right? And their best team are all South African. So this is the perfect event for them to kind of bridge the gap and make an upset, which they almost did at the World Championship against the Pioneers as well. So, you know, I think this could be a really cool event for them. Obviously, they're not gonna do anything crazy. They're not gonna go top eight, but I'm really excited to see whether they can pull off an upset against another team. So, because against Turkey, I'm gonna be honest. They're probably the favorites. I'm gonna say it straight up. They're probably the favorites. They should be winning against a team like Turkey, and maybe. And I'm gonna say probably. No, maybe that it could still be close, but I'm gonna still say that they probably should win against Portugal as well. But we'll get on to that a little bit later. Next up, I've got the USA. USA are another invited team. So I expect them to just invite G2. Obviously it's possible that they might invite a first killer or an LJ instead of one of the three players, but I think all the fans want G2 to represent their country. So I doubt that that'll happen. So yeah, Atomic, Daniel, Beast Mode for USA. I expect honorable mentions will be First Killer, LJ, and I'm not sure who to go for, but I'll just say Hoxer. I don't really know who to go for. I think Hoxer's trying out with them as well, so it'd be logical that they'd be playing together. Other tryouts I think were Nas and Garrett G. Nas obviously isn't from the USA, so he's not going to play for the USA. But yeah, I wasn't really sure who to go for there, so Hoxer, I put him in there, and he's a very good player as well, even though he's not as good as obviously LJ or First Killer is. But yeah, that's the USA. Pretty simple. USA could obviously win the whole event. I think they'll come in as I was gonna say favorites, but there's another team that will probably be considered the favorites ahead of them that we'll get on to a little bit later. So USA definitely should be predicted, by most as a top two team in this event. So that will be huge for USA to try to claim a title for them and North America. Moving on is Morocco. Morocco is very obvious. You got Drawley, Itachi, and Nas. There's just no real argument about it. They're that country where they don't have that many players, but the players that they do have are just incredible. Reminds you a bit of Iceland back in the day, working towards what was it, 2018 World Cup, and they were amazing in the 2016 Euros, if you remember that. In football, that is. That's a football reference. But yeah, they don't really have any honorable mentions other than maybe like Ray, but he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, so some of their upcoming players, they haven't quite established themselves yet either. So yeah, definitely Jolly, Itachi, and Nas there, and they could go on and potentially win the event straight up. They could win the entire event. I'm not going to predict them to do so, but they're definitely on the cards for it, and a top four would not seem that weird, to be honest. It's kind of, yeah, they could definitely go top four with that roster. Moving on, we've got the Netherlands. I think we've already seen their lineup in the qualifier, though I don't think it has finished. But yeah, the team is Jorius, Oli, and Mike Boy. Sorry, not Mike Bo. Mike Boy. Not too surprising as well. We saw Tho go to APAC and do okay there, but let's not act like he did amazing, incredible there. But yeah, so I thought maybe could have been in that roster, but looks like he's been bumped out by Mike Boy. Other honorable mentions are, of course, Matane, who has made plenty of top eights, even this season with Endpoint, I think, and has obviously previously done better as well. But this season's results will be much, much more relevant than anyone before. And then third honorable mention, I put Injustice. I think he might be in North America right now. But yeah, I was just thinking of good Dutch players, and there aren't really that many. So, Justice, he did a decent job in North America last season, so I put him in there, considering he is Dutch. Obviously, a team that's pretty good, but I don't know. I don't think they're quite even as good as Morocco. Obviously, they can still make a top four, and they're more likely to than probably a team like Belgium. But I don't know. I feel like they might struggle also a little bit, similar to Spain, I guess. So yeah, there you go. Next up is Germany. I think their roster is already confirmed. Yeah, no, they already have completed their qualifier, and they're going with Raziers, Rizex, and Tox. Catalysm just shy of that team. I think he'll be coaching them and being their sub during the event, but unfortunately, he didn't make the team. And other than that, Germany, I'm gonna be honest, there really aren't that many players that good for Germany right now. So honorable mentions, I put Fapso in, who also won the CRL World Championship. What was it, last year? Somewhere around there. End of 2023, somewhere around there. And Taylan. Taylan is honestly not even that notable of a player. He's probably around badness or something, around that level maybe. Maybe a little bit better. I'm not sure. Haven't really watched much of Taylan, but I hear he's an up and comer, so it looks like he has an upwards trajectory, and he might end up being a much more relevant player very soon. So yeah, I put him in there as well. Germany, how well are they gonna do? Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a similar case as the Netherlands, but I think they have much less pop-off potential. So I'm a little bit concerned, to be honest, for how Germany will be doing. So haven't really done any predictions. I don't really know um, if top eight is that difficult to get to or not. But I'd be a little bit concerned for Germany. I'm not sure if they could get much further than top eight, if at all. And I don't really expect them to make top four. I'll be straight up honest. I don't think they will. And will they make top eight? I'm gonna say probably, but I don't know. I think there could be some tough competition, and top eight is definitely not a guarantee for them. Anyways, moving on. Argentina. Argentina. They just finished their qualifier just recently. AJG, Unbroken, and Misery have qualified. Honorable mentions will be Shad, Langley, and Sek, who finished second, who actually beat the qualified team in the upper bracket, but unfortunately in the grand final and the bracket reset, they lost against them. So, deserved victory for AJG and friends there. I say and friends, that sounds disrespectful, but everybody knows AJG and the rest of Argentina isn't so globally known, so that's why I say that. It would have been cool to see Shad kind of get revenge on his ex-teammate after he got kicked. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. And Shad, to be fair, his results haven't been that amazing in South America either, so wasn't all too surprising in the end. I do respect it was close. Argentina, I imagine, won't do that great. I'm going to be honest. Whether they should be in here or not was already an arguable point. Not that I mind them being here. Just don't get me wrong, right? I mean, I think I might have even got them in if I really thought about it, about the 16 teams that should have been here. But Argentina, I can't imagine will do that well. And they're kind of that team where they could make a top eight, but honestly, off the top of my head, I imagine it would kind of be a struggle, and I imagine they'd have to make an upset to do so. So Argentina. Yeah, I imagine it'll be a struggle for them. Next up will be Turkey. This one's funny. Obviously, I made the whole video about FIFA E and why Turkey shouldn't be there, for example. But yeah, they are here and they will be all invited as well. So there isn't even a qualifier for Turkey. So good luck to whoever's choosing the team, because it probably won't be that easy to decide who should be playing for Turkey, considering the lack of notable players they have. But yeah, the one player that they do have that is currently notable is Loreley. He hasn't even been competing recently, but I know he did. I think it was end of last season still, where he made like a top 24 in Europe. So that clear. This is clearly their star player. It's going to be about who does he play with, and I've got a player in that's called Psycho, not to be confused with the English, pre ex player, now retired player, who invented the Psycho shot that we all know now. This is just another player called Psycho from Turkey. And the third player I've got is BHD, who doesn't even have a Wikipedia page to my knowledge. Some mentions that I have, as well as Impact, who used to play RLRS a long time ago. He might be able to represent Turkey, although I know he's also Belgian, so I don't know if he'd be able to represent Turkey or Belgium, and I don't think he's been playing, so I assume he wouldn't be in the starting lineup, though it wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't believe it if he did, if you know what I'm saying. Other than that, I've got Erdem Pi, who I've seen around, as someone called Zegok Braids. Yeah, I don't even know, it's just some players that I noticed on Wikipedia, not even with Wikipedia pages, I don't think, maybe some of them do. I'm not quite giving enough credit, but yeah, for the most part, these players have not. I mean, none of these Turkish players have been in RLCS, not even in the qualifiers like this year in like top 64. So, you know, not looking good for Turkey. I don't expect them to win against anyone. I'll just straight up, I don't expect them to win against anyone. I expect them to lose against everyone. Moving on, we've got Chile. Chile, they also just finished their qualifier. They'll be running with Razebull, Devitrox, and Pan. Honorable mentions being this wasn't a team. It was just like I think two of them actually teamed, but one of them didn't. But honorable mentions for me were Tizai or Tizai, Nachowski, or however you pronounce it, and Zet. I don't really watch South America. I'll be straight up, not anymore, anyways. But those are some notable players I noticed. So I just put them there. I don't really know much about them, to be honest with you. But yeah, Dre's Bull. Important that they got him to represent the country because he's probably by far their best player. Though maybe there's been a little bit of a drop off there, but yeah, we'll see, I guess. I don't really have high hopes for Chile either. Pretty much same thing as what I said for Argentina. So yeah, I think Chile might be like slightly better, but not a lot. So yeah, there we go. Anyways, Portugal now. Portugal, I would probably imagine is probably the second worst team in this tournament. They could beat a South Africa, but I feel like South Africa would be just that little bit better, even though Chronic obviously would be by far the best player in that matchup. Which brings me to my predicted team, which, it's very hard to guess, but I'm just gonna say Acronic, Arafar, and Xpair, who played together at beginning of the season when, Acronic said he was gonna go on a break, he's just gonna play with his friends. So I'm just gonna say I guess he just plays with his friends because really there really are not any, relevant Portuguese players, to be honest. There might be some better than Arafar and Xpair, don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be better by like a crazy amount. But it's possible that Arconic will go for them just, for that extra bit of stability. Not stability, but, potential to do better with the team. So yeah, I put honorable mentions, Lazy Bear, Kirikou, and XYZ45. None of these players have been in, RLCS EU main events, but, I guess I put them there. XYZ, I think, is a Uni Rocketeers player for Portuguese University, so yeah, not looking amazing for Portugal, so I imagine they don't really get I imagine they'll struggle a lot. Anyways, next up will be Australia. Australia, it's hard to imagine them not, getting Fever, Banana Head, and Torsos as their roster. I do think they have a invitational qualifier, so they do still have to qualify. But I imagine, Power will qualify Fever, Banana Head, and Torsos, since they have been the most successful team in OCE this season by far. Honorable mentions being Super Lucky, Hunter, and Fiber. I'm not saying they're teaming, we don't really know the teams, but I just was thinking of three of the most notable players outside of Power, and Super Lucky and Hunter come to mind straight away. The third one I had to think about a little bit, and it's very possible there's someone better out there, but I remember Fiverr doing some good stuff at Worlds. So I thought I'd reward one of the, Pioneers players there. Amphis as well did pretty good, but I don't know. Amphis, he could honestly be better still than Fiber. Very, very much so, but I've just got a feeling that he's on a downtrend. So I'm a little bit concerned about his future. So considering that, I feel like Fiber isn't on a downtrend. So I just put Fiber there because of that reason, I guess. Australia, by the way, I have no idea how they'll do. I think they have that same advantage that South Africa do, in the sense of, before they were playing against regions. Now they're just playing against countries. So, Australia, this might be the time that they finally make top eight. But, it's still not going to be easy. It's still going to be very, very tough. But top eight, finally, will feel like such more of a doable thing to do in this format, right? So, or in this type of tournament, though that will add pressure to them as well. So now they're probably gonna be expecting to make top eight. So yeah, we'll still be tough, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see. Anyways, the team that I referred to earlier that I that I've put here as the last team to talk about, France, the last team in the FIFA World Cup, and this is definitely going to be the favorite. And the question is, who's going to get invited? I mean, I have no idea because this is another team that just straight up will get invited to the FIFA World Cup, and it's possible that the current Vitality roster that they've announced recently won't be the team chosen, but I imagine so. So my predicted team: Zen, ExoTiiK, M0nkey, they've been announced as the next Vitality roster for the next RLCS season. I imagine they get chosen. They're all French, so yeah, M0nkey, ExoTiiK just won Worlds, and we all know Zen has the highest peak out of any player in the world. And there's been some questions on whether he really was still the best player last season, when he, was so clearly by, an incredible margin the season before. But now with ExoTiiK and M0nkey on the roster, you gotta imagine that something, new heights will be brought out of Zen yet again. So yeah, I've got that as my predicted team, and some honorable mentions will be Vatira, Seiko, and Juicy. Vatira, obviously, he could be invited onto the roster. Whoever's choosing this team, they might put him instead of someone like ExoTiiK and M0nkey, or maybe even Zen. Um, but you'd assume that they'd go with a prearranged roster. Seiko obviously has won Worlds, won a major last season as well. Same with Juicy, he also won a major last season. But yeah, there we go. Those are all the teams. I've got France probably, going into it, looking like they're probably going to be the favorites, and would be exciting if they go against USA in the grand final. That would be super, super cool. But yeah. Anyways, that's going to be it from me. Just wanted to let you know some teams that I imagine will be there, and some of the confirmed teams as well in FIFA E World Cup. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later.